All right, so let's now jump on recursion. So we will now try to go into little detail into the recursion. If your head is also spinning like me, what I was in my college days, what the heck is recursion? I was literally hating the recursion because I was not getting any idea how to solve any problem with recursion. So just check out my earlier video, link in this video description. Just go through how to solve the problem using recursion, how you can really solve the problem using recursion. I mean, what's the approach, what should be the behind the thought, right, to solve the problem using recursion. So in that video I have explained the technique. So just go through that. Now in this video we will try to pick a very simple problem, again a small problem, to solve it via recursion. I'll try to give very brief idea, again the approach behind using recursion to solve any problem. So so let's begin. No talk, walk. So this is one of the program which we would be creating using recursion, where imagine that you want to write even numbers using recursion. So basically even numbers, as you know, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and so on, right? But here we will basically ask user that how many even terms you want to print on the screen. Basically we would be printing these even numbers on the screen using recursion. So for example, if user says, yeah, give me 4 numbers, which means print 4 even numbers. So then we will print 2, 4, 6, 8. So that's the problem statement. So what we will do is we will first define a function where it will say print even numbers. And this is the n is nothing but it's the user input. So based on the user input, whatever the n is coming, we will print those even numbers. But if you recall from my previous video, if you check it, basically in recursion we need to create two things. When I say we need to create two things, which means, let me just put a comment so that, so here now I'm trying to explain you the approach to solve recursion problem, right? So every recursion problem will have two things. One is base case and second is a recursion case. Now base case is something when when you want to stop recursion, which means when you are not calling the function itself, right? So in the base case, which means you need to define something so that you will not call the same function again and again, otherwise it will get into the loop, right, the deadlock. Recursion case is something where you will try to solve your main problem by simplifying that problem. So here the problem statement is we want to print the even numbers. So to print the even numbers, so we may not be able to directly print the even numbers, we may not have that solution, but to reach that solution we will again solve that solution by by again representing in a problem. Now this statement might be a little bit complicated to you, but what I'm trying to tell you is that we are trying to solve this problem by defining another problem. But which means this. So when I say defining another problem, which means we are trying to solve this problem by defining a smaller version of this main problem, right? So this is our main problem. So our main problem is that okay, if user is saying n is equal to 6, which means our Python terminal, right? My terminal should print if it says 6. Sorry, a user says 6. Then, which means my output should be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12, right? This is how my output. But then imagine that we already have this solution, right? Imagine, which means this function is already available. Now I'm trying to tell you the approach, how we can approach this problem using recursion. But to solve this big problem, I am giving this solution via another problem. So which means we are trying to solve this big problem of printing this many even numbers by reaching to the main problem by defining a smaller version of the problem. Hope I'm not confusing, but what I'm trying to tell you is that, so let me continue my example, then you will pick the idea. So basically at every recursion, we will try to simplify this main problem. So our main problem is this, we want to print n numbers. Now, how can I simplify? So how can I I move closer to the my main problem? Yeah, that's the line I was looking for. So basically I want to move closer to the my main problem. So for example, my main problem is to print six even numbers, right? So can I print like five even numbers at least? So which means I may not have the solution ready to print six numbers, but then imagine that I already have solution ready to print five numbers, right? Which means the n minus one. So n is six. So n minus one is equal to five, right? So imagine f is nothing but, let me put it in small. So f is nothing but function. Now if I have function readily available which can solve or which can print the n minus 1, which can print n minus 1 even numbers, which means I'm trying to move closer to my main problem. So I'm not printing the n numbers, but I'm printing little lesser. So I'm printing one less term than n terms. So so this is beauty of recursion, which means you do not need to work on this function. You do not need to work on, oh, how to find f of n minus 1, how to find a function which can print n minus 1 numbers. No, that's not the thing. You do not need to think that part. You just need to consider, okay, that solution is already available. So which means if I put it in this example, so here I'm calling the recursion, right? And here I'm saying, okay, I have one function readily available which will print n minus 1 terms. But my nth term is still pending, right? So far, if my this function is ready, which can print n minus 1 even numbers, and if my n value is 6, which means it can print n minus 1, which means it can print 5 even numbers, right? So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Hope so far you are with me. Now, to reach to the final solution, to reach to the main problem, what is left is I need to generate the nth term, right? So I need to generate nth term, right? Now, how can I get the nth term? Now, this is where the little logic comes into the picture. So imagine, so for example, if you have, so when I had given like I want to print six numbers, then what was the last term? So last term was 2, 4, 6, 8, and last term was, I mean, if I put n is equal to 6, let me write it here. 2, 4, 6, 8, sorry, 6, 8, and 10, and 12. So my last term, so whenever I give n value as 6, my last, that is nth term, is 12, right? Now if I give n is equal to 4, 2, 4, 6, 8. So my nth term, that is my last term, is 8. I'm trying to find some pattern, right? So if I want to print like 8 terms, right? So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, right? So my nth term, do you see some pattern? Like what is the relation between nth, between the value of n and the last term? So my nth term is 16, which means, because here, if I try to go back, what I just mentioned previously is that we already have function available which can print n minus 1 terms, right? Which means we need to work on the logic which can generate nth term. So that's what we are doing now. So which means the last term is always and always 2 into n, right? So for example, here n is value 6, but last term is 2 into 6, which is 12, right? Here when n was 4, then the last term is 2 into 4, that is 2 into n is 8, and so on, right? So which means the nth term, the solution to generate nth term is 2 into n, right? Here I mean 2 into n, right? It's the same thing. So what I'm going to do is, now let's try to solve this problem using recursion. So now what I'm going to do is, so here I'm just simply putting, here I'm doing the recursion. When I say recursion, which means I'm calling the same function, but here what I'm saying is that, okay, here I'm calling the function which will print n minus 1 terms. I am reaching to the closure to the solution. So I'm reaching closer to the problem statement, right? So now you just imagine that this function does the job, which means this function, right, this guy which I selected, it is printing even numbers. And how many? N minus 1. It's done, which means it's magically available to you. Just think like that. But then I need to still print, my dear friends, the nth term. And the nth term, how can I print? 2 into n. That's my nth term, right? And I'll just put it separator as with space, right? So all terms will be printed on the same line. That's why I just put n there like this. And now I need to put base case, right? Otherwise this function will keep on going endlessly, right? So at every recursion case, right? So whenever I call this function, I'm reducing n value by 1, right? So what I'll do is if n is greater than 0, then only you should run this, right? So for example, if I'm just trying to think, if I had given 4, then it will print the first three numbers, right? N minus 1. So it will print the three numbers and it will print the fourth number, right? But then it will keep on going until is n is greater than 0. Yeah, let me test it, how it works. So now let me directly call this function. Now, before I call the function, let me take the value from user. I am casting it to integer because by default input prompt will be in string. So enter how many even numbers you want. Okay, and then let's call function print even n. I'll put this guy print even n, and let's run. I'll go to my terminal. Sorry, this is my earlier program. I will clear it. I am not in the right window, I guess. Cd recursion python 3, and let's print. Sorry, the file name is, yeah, print, and let's see. Yeah, print how many numbers. Okay, so I'll say I want to print 4. Yeah, you see, so it's printing 2 4 6 8. I would say, hey, give me 25 even numbers. So it's giving 25 even numbers. So I hope you got the idea how the recursion works. Now, if you want to see, now I don't want to intentionally make this video long, but then if you want to see how this recursion works, just look at my earlier video. The link is there in this video description, where I have given detailed idea on how you can really understand how this code is running, right? So that's what you can get the idea. So just check out my earlier video, then you will understand, okay, how this program is working. But what I want to tell you in this video is just to approach whenever you want to solve problem with the recursion. Now let me just tweak this problem. For example, if I want to print the not odd numbers, but if I want to print the same even numbers but in reverse sequence, right? Which means I want to print in a reverse order. So what I'll do is, so let me write first function print even numbers but in reverse sequence. Again, it's n. So when I say reverse sequence, which means if I give, like, I want to print 4 even numbers, so then it will print 8, 6, 4 and 2. So ideally I just need to tweak this guy, uh, because whenever I want to print reverse, right? So which means if I give n is equal to 4, right? Which means your output should be 8, then it will print 6, then it will print 4 and then 2, right? Which means you are printing the last term firstly, right? So for the first, you will print the last term. So what I'm going to do is I will copy this guy. I will print first last term, and then I will print all the remaining terms, right? All the remaining terms, which means all the rest of the terms. So I'm already printing the first term that is over here. And then I'm telling, hey, why don't you print the rest of the terms? Let's see if it works or not. Again, my recursion case would be the same thing, right? While n is greater than 0. Why I'm putting n greater than 0? Because every time I'm calling the recursion function by reducing the value of n, right? So every time my n value is getting reduced, right? So I want to keep running this recursion until my n value, the value of n, is greater than 0. So let's call both function. Okay, I'll introduce in between print, and then let's put print reverse, and let's see. So let's do clear and this, and then this I want to print 4. You see, so 2 4 6 8, this is the first guy normal order, then 8 2 4 6 in reverse order. And for example, if I do 25, right? So this is how it works. So so if you like this, I just want to end the video over here rather than overkilling a lot of stuff. Hope the idea was that hope you were able to get idea on how to basically solve the problem using recursion. So so that was the intention of it. And as an exercise, if you really want to follow along with me, if you want to really learn along with me, why don't you try and share the code in the comment that you know how to print odd numbers using recursion. So just try that and let me know. Put comment so that you know I can just get idea of how you are doing. I will watch all of your comment and then I will comment on it so that you know whether your program is right or not. So hope you have fun with recursion. Hope I was able to tell the idea of solving the recursion problem. That's all for now. Thank you.